Hey, everybody. How's everybody today? Good. Beautiful sunny day. Wish I could be out there. I see some of you are out there. That's so not fair. So we have our panel. This panel was one that was scheduled to be on our sales rally, but could not happen because of all the great things that were happening on that rally. So we have it today. So we have our panelists. I'll introduce them in a minute, and we're probably going to have a small-ish group today, so please make this fully interactive with everybody. We'll pose the questions to the panelists, but others feel free to chime in and contribute and ask questions, etc. So our panelists today, or our topic is 2020 and your goals. Resetting your goals, question mark, or leaving your goals. How has the first half of the year been for you, and how do you see the second half of the year? I think all of us would agree that where we are today is not where we thought we would be back in March and beginning of April. It's kind of crazy where we're at. So I want to see what you're thinking about, your goals projected through the end of the year. Carlos, unmute yourself, man. Feel free to chime in. But our panelists, we have Matt Rose, Chris Kling up in Ridgefield, and Todd Auslander and Kim and Mike Trumba here in Stamford. So why don't we start? Let's go around the panel real quick and just introduce yourself, say a little bit about your background and your situation, your team, etc. Why don't we start with Matt Rose?
Can everybody hear me? Looks like I unmuted. What a gorgeous day. It's kind of nice to be out here working outside. So I have a team of 7. Of the team members, I'd say we have like 4 out of the 7 that are committed. Not to say that the other 3 aren't. It's just they have other commitments besides real estate. But we're having an amazing year as far as that goals go. We've closed as a team about 12 million year to date, and we have about 14 pending. So we really we're on track. My goal is a kind of a yearly goal. I'd like to do $1 million in commissions as a team, and I think with the pendings and closings that we have, we are on track for that. Just the last few weeks have been totally insane. Glad I could be on this call, but it's literally squeezed it in. It's just been.
I believe it. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks, Matt. Chris. Hey, Chris. How are you, buddy?
Good. How are you guys? Nice to meet everybody.
Yeah, definitely. So tell us about yourself.
So I've been in it since 2016, actually just about April 2016. So coming on to my 5th year. I've been with Andy and the Around Town Real Estate team from day one. As most of you know, we just started our transition over here, and we're absolutely loving every bit of it so far. He's got all the numbers for what the team has done so far. I believe we were well over, I think, 60 or 70 deposit and closed. Last year we did 205, and we're trying to shoot and hit that same goal again this year. But that all depends on what the second half looks like. We pushed through the first half, but it's definitely going to be a second half fight for us to come back up to that 200 number for units sold. Myself, last year I did 31 closed units last year. This year so far I'm at 15 with a couple more under deposit and closed, hoping to hit that 30 count again, if not a little more. But it's really been a fight, as everybody knows. But the past, like Matt was saying, past few weeks has been pretty hectic.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Chris, I think you personally are working with my daughter's teacher, Mrs. I.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes, I am.
Great. Awesome.
Yes, I am. Yeah, she's a pleasure to work with. Yeah, she's very excited to buy this house.
Great. Awesome. All right, let's go on to Todd, Mr. Auslander.
So our team, the Auslander Kassendorf Group, everybody at Stamford knows us, obviously. So we have 4, myself and Jeannie Kassendorf are the 2 partners. We have 4 buyer agents on our team. We just brought on a new agent during the pandemic, so he's kind of getting ramped up right now. He's been doing rentals for us, and we just kind of phased him into starting to do low-end sales. Our Max Dober and Josh Coldwell our superstars. They're unbelievable agents. They've been with us for a number of years now, and Brian Barron is having his actual best year yet as well. Right now, we are at 70 transactions and 36 million. We definitely set lofty goals for ourselves at the beginning of the year. When the pandemic hit, we took a step back. We thought that, we certainly weren't going to be coming close to where we thought we should be. But now, as everybody else is saying, this past month has been just incredible and nonstop. And we're pretty much on pace to hit our goal that we set, and maybe even surpass it if this continues.
What is that goal, Todd, for the year?
So we originally, our goal was 125 transactions and 60 million.
Got it.
So we are on pace for that. If the third and fourth quarter continue to move like this, and we're optimistic because we really feel that the spring market is just started rather than just ended, that this will continue now for the next 3 or 4 months, and we should be able to obtain our goals if that is the case.
Great, love it. Kim/Mike, whoever's talking.
Hey, Steve. How are you guys?
Hey.
Thanks for having us. Yes, so we really focus on our GCI goal because we really range from townhouse to over $1 million properties. So our GCI goal was 24 million with a reach of 30 million. Interestingly enough, we came into the year building a team. Since then, with expenses having to cut back and everything and kind of change of circumstances, as we were a new team, we've actually cut back now to just Mike and I. And so we're kind of in a transition with COVID of just kind of rebuilding. And yet we haven't changed our goals. As of right now, we're at 9.3 million closed and 2.5 pending in July, which is 82% of our 24 annual GCI goal. We find keeping the eye on the prize and in surpassing that 24 million, it helps us motivate every day and dig our heels in. And so we haven't shifted.
Got it. Perfect. Rick, are you here? I think you are. Rick?
Yeah.
I don't know if you can stay on the call, but do you want to ask the panel a question or two before you have to head out?
Sure. My main question is, if you're looking to hold the line on your 2020 goals, what activities are you focused on? What are you doing to make sure that actually shows up? I mean, I know the market is assisting in a way in that it's moving very quickly. However, if you have no inventory or you're not out there doing anything, it doesn't matter what the market's doing. So I'm curious if you could let us know, what are you focused on from an activities perspective to make sure that target that you just gave us all actually shows up by the end of the year?
Yeah, I'd say I contribute to that and say, buyers are definitely falling from the sky a little bit right now, which is kind of unique, but inventory is really low. So why don't we start with Matt? Matt, you want to comment on that?
Can we start with somebody else? No, I'm kidding.
I'll start.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Todd.
Well, what I would say is that, is literally the day that the pandemic started and I started working from home, we had a pretty large pipeline of sellers that we were planning on getting their homes on the market over, March and April and May. And immediately they all kind of pulled the reins back and decided that they're going to wait. So what I started doing on a weekly basis was putting together just an activity, very simple activity update every Friday that I just focused on Stamford. I wasn't looking at Fairfield. I wasn't looking at Norwalk. I was really, because primarily, our listing pipeline was geared towards Stamford. So what I was doing every single week was putting the amount of homes that came on the market as new, the amount of homes that went under contract to show, and how many homes closed. And then I just wrote a paragraph based on really what the mindset of people are, what's going on in the world and around us, and how people are reacting to it. We immediately as everybody else did, shifted in the way that we were doing showings. That first day I immediately ran out and did a video tour of one of our vacant homes. That was the first thing I did on day one. And then that, of course, we've implemented that into every one of our listings going forward. But I think the most interesting part for us was that weekly update now has been going on since, the second week in March. Here we are in, the third week in June. And each week when I send the new one, it's just copying and paste. So they can see the timeline. It's not just a new email with that week. They're seeing every single week and what's been going on since March. And I've been really focusing and talking about what they're seeing happening each week. Look at the amount of new homes that are coming on the market, in the last 3 weeks as opposed to April and March. But most importantly, we're not focusing on what has sold, which is what we usually do when we're comping homes. We're looking at how many homes are going under contract. Look at how many homes have been going under contract in, since the beginning of May, really, till now. It's exploded. So, we see that the closed sales are down for these coming weeks because you back that up 2 months, 2.5 months, that's when everything's shut down. So we're telling our sellers, don't really pay so much attention to what's closed. Really look now at what buyers are putting pen to paper on. And we have now been, all those sellers that I've been hitting every single week, they've all been dripping one at a time. We've been getting them on the market, getting them on the market, getting them on the market. So we put a ton of homes on the market over the last month and a half, and we've got a whole slew that are, now feeling more comfortable with the updates that they're saying, okay, now we're getting ready too, and we're ready. So I think that's really, really helped us is just keeping our pipeline engaged on a weekly basis.
That's great.
I'd be ready now.
Okay, Matt.
I'd be ready. So I've been in this business since 1986. So 34 years. So I've sold a couple of homes. I think I'm above 1,000 properties. And over the years, my goal has always been to keep in touch with clients. So when a property comes on the market that's in the neighborhood that they, it's all up here. I know where I've sold homes. So if a property comes on the market, I'll let them know about it. So I'm constantly trying to keep in touch with my past clients. And a lot of my past clients have bought and sold over a dozen times from me. So to some degree, it runs itself a little bit because of the amount of past business. But what I've been doing with and focusing with that is I've been trying to help the team more, and some of those clients I've had team members been handling some of that business. So really trying to see the team succeed and mentor them. And on a daily basis, I'm on with the team members, asking them what's going on and what can they do to improve their sales.
Cool. Matt, are you seeing the same hesitancy for sellers to get on the market? They're curious about the market, but they're hesitant?
Right now, it seems like a little bit of a transition where there was that hesitancy, and it sort of seems like it's turned a bit, and people haven't even really been asking about it when we're dealing with sellers. I mean, I'm the one walking in with a face mask, and they're like, should we put a face mask on? So I guess it depends on the person, but to some degree, yeah, it's not the same feeling it was a month ago.
Got it.
And
Who's
Matt,
next?
if I can just dig deeper, what are some of the issues that is going on with your team, if any, or things that should be addressed?
I'm not sure there's any specific issues. I mean, the COVID stuff, I get concerned for the team members myself. I want everybody to be safe and not even just COVID. I mean, when we're working with new clients that we're showing a vacant house or something, I mean, those types of things. So safety to me in general is something that I get concerned about for the team members.
Cool. Thanks. Chris?
Yeah, so I kind of do like a little bit of a mix of both. So I'm in the realm of taking command by the horns and updating every contact I have, because beforehand I was journal and a spreadsheet. So it's definitely a new kind of habit for me to be getting into. So I've been really doubling up on my follow-ups with everybody, past clients, family, friends, everything, open house leads. And with that, it's been really helping. There's people that, I talked to last month, and it brought me 1 or 2 referrals just from that. And it's just like, wow, okay, if I didn't talk to them, I would have never gotten those referrals. It actually brought me 2 of my newer listings coming on. So things like that have been really helping. And to kind of do what Todd's doing, I like the idea. I actually want to start doing the emails and stuff like that as well. But each one of my follow-ups, every time I have a new conversation, I try to block them out either bi-weekly. If it's someone new, to keep them on. If it's someone older, I keep them up quarterly. But I have those updates on the market. But I like that weekly update idea a lot, to keep them in touch with everything.
Totally. Love it. Brand new agent to KW and using command like crazy. Love it, Chris.
Have to.
That's great. Next, Kim.
Hi. Yes. So it's interesting. When COVID hit, Mike and I took a kind of a global view of our business and kind of said, wow, how are we going to make money during this challenging times? What we realized is 80% of our business last year was done through open houses with buyers. And so we really focused heavily on the nurture that we had created of those buyers and got really on purpose about it. So, we intentionally get in front of our A-plus buyers every week. We really work to their strengths. We understand their needs and we make it happen. So we've been able to successfully put 2 buyers under contract every week for the last 5 weeks. And so it's sort of become our superpower. We're really good at it. And obviously there's a lot of buyers out there. And so we figured, why not play into our strength, especially where the market has really become so buyer heavy. Knowing that we have to list to last, we are focusing also on getting in front of our listings. Like you guys, we had many coming on with hesitation. We have more coming on the next few weeks. We did develop a virtual listing program to give them the option of kind of picking, choosing from that, helping them take their own pictures virtually if that makes them more comfortable. So we've tried to get really creative in terms of reaching to them and what their concerns are.
Right. How about, who's doing any call arounds, or maybe on your team, somebody's doing call arounds around recent solds and the fact that you have more buyers who want that neighborhood? Anybody doing that? Finding any success with that? It's a good way to find listings.
Mm-hmm.
We typically do in normal day-to-day. That's part of my lead generation. And anytime we put a home on the market, that's what we spend our time doing. I have to honestly say I have not been able to do that because we've just been so busy lately that we just haven't had the time to do that type of lead generation. But that is part of our normal process when we do put homes on the market, is to call the neighborhood.
Yeah, totally. Kim, were you saying something?
Oh, no, I also wanted to just talk about some of our other goals, because they don't all just focus around the GCI. We also have gotten into command and gotten our database in there. We're still using our other CRM in conjunction right now, because the drip campaign isn't quite where we want it to be for our capabilities. But, and then also some personal goals I think it's important to talk about is that where our business might be slightly down in terms of our GCI, we've also found opportunity to purchase a second 2-family as well as buy our next primary home. So although we might have been a little down in our GCI, we found huge opportunity in negotiating and purchasing a 2-family for less, as well as our next primary. So awesome. Just as another kind of global picture of our world and moving our wealth forward, we've taken the opportunity to move that part of our business forward.
And something I'd love to kind of discuss is and some folks have mentioned it, is how deep are we going in with command, and are we really using it? So I'd love to hear some of the technology behind the actions.
What are you guys using?
I'm starting off still. I am trying to get, as I go through each client, as I input them, if, I try to put half of them through the CSV file into it, and the other ones that I'm manually inputting, I'm trying to set each one up on some form of a smart plan. on every single one of them, because I think that's a huge aspect of that software that really either reminds you to do the work or does the work for you, especially if you set up your own templates. And then the other thing we're really trying to do, at least myself, is I'm trying to spend about a half hour every day trying to go into the design and getting the branding I need that I want to either do a mailer for or a social media campaign, but also target it really to myself and make it look, each one have its own branding for it. So I kind of want to keep that ammunition there. So when it's needed, I could just put it right in. So the team templates and stuff like that. And then learning how to just put in all the opportunities and everything is still is the next task for me.
That's cool. Anybody else? I want to hear neighborhood nurtures. Come on, everyone in your database should be getting neighborhood nurtures. Past open house attendees, everybody. Are they?
For sure.
That's one thing too. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Our databases. Yeah. I guess for us, our other CRM does more drip than that. And so that's why we still use another one. My understanding, and I could be outdated here, I'm going to jump on the team command at 3:00 today, but my understanding is that the buyer drip or the 8x8 or those things aren't quite there yet. Maybe they are. I'll have to know at 3:00.
Yeah.
And it's something that I would recommend that if you have the time, sketch out a drip campaign of what you want it to be, and literally sketch it out. Kind of like, this is some stuff that we do for our onboarding, but I sketch out like what I want my smart plan to look like. And then you can create a smart plan too. So there's a lot of good sites that have smart plans out there. I know I was ripping one off of like Commissions Inc. I hope nobody works for them here. And you could custom make it. I agree with you. I think that the 10 that they give you, they're very, very basic, but it has ability for greatness. Todd, you wanted to say something?
No, I wasn't gonna say anything.
Okay.
Hey. Anybody else want to comment on technology? What you're doing? What you want to do? And for those of you who joined, later than when we started, I want this to be an open forum. So feel free to unmute yourself and ask a question or chime in with an idea or something that you're doing. It's not just the panelists talking. I have another question, topic. So the crazy market that we're in with multiple offers, over asking, all that we have right now, how are you preparing your buyers for that? Brand new buyers. How are you describing the market and setting the stage about what they're going to see and how they have to act?
Well, because we don't work with buyers, Jeannie and I, we have the buyer team that does that, but I know that they are in multiple offer situations all the time. And I think what they do now, and then what they've really always done, when they sign a buyer, they really do a very, very thorough, in-depth needs analysis buyer consultation. And at that time, they really set expectations. And I think that's one of the most important things right now, is to really set expectations and make sure that they understand in a lot of price range, but even the higher end now, which we're seeing multiple offers on, which we were not seeing at all a couple months ago. But certainly in that hot price point, they are explaining to these buyers that you do not have the luxury of time to go see a home and then, talk about it with the spouse and think about it for a day or two and then come back and maybe put an offer in. They're telling them when they go out, you better be prepared to bring your checkbook with you, because you may be writing up an offer when we leave the house. And also, sometimes they're going in with very aggressive offers before the seller even has another offer to try and lock it up quickly. So they are not coming in with these, test the market type offers. They're coming in strong right off the get-go and seeing if they can wrap them up. And they have, on a few occasions, been able to wrap it up with very strong offers before they engaged with a multiple offer situation.
Totally agree with you, Todd. And I'll bring it to another level as well, is like, and again, we have the Mike and I doing this together. So we, in depth, buyer's consult for sure. And then I right away make a real relationship with the selling agent. I understand, what is the seller's motivation? Do they have a place to go? Do they have a timeline? When we go and look at that house, Mike does a quick assessment of the home. Is there any utilities we're concerned with? Mike is a contractor. So we have that luxury, is that we can kind of size up if there's going to be, issues in inspection or not. He's not a licensed inspector, but yet we sometimes have the confidence to say, guys, would you be okay with an as is? Knowing it's an as is state anyway, but really coming in with really tight terms, fast inspection, as is. And we've been able to several times lock up a property first day on market before a multiple offer issue comes in. Really getting to know the agent, really getting to know the seller's needs and our buyer's needs, and kind of creating a scenario that works for everybody.
That's cool. I like that. Chris, how about you?
Yeah, exactly the same thing. The in-depth initial meetings and everything are very key. I go over, we have a 10-step process that we use for our buyers, their timeline-wise and everything. We try to go through all of that. We go through, so there is no question when you go through the house of, okay, what do we do next? They kind of say, this is what we're offering, or what do you think we should offer, and when can we get that offer packet set up? And then kind of the same thing Kim was saying, is I feel like it's on our job when we're working with our buyers to immediately, when you're done with that listing, the first thing you're doing is calling that agent, not texting them saying, we'll get an offer in soon enough. Like, you call them and you get every bit of background that you can, so that initial offer is the most appealing possible to them. And same thing as Todd was saying is, yeah, like just yesterday too, one of my buyers, we went in over 7,500 over asking right off the bat because we knew there was going to be competition for it.
Mhm.
In this case, we knew it was an investor and everything that was trying to sell it. So we try to match the terms that would be most ideal for them, and it helped us out and benefit us at the end of the day. But I think the in-depth conversation you have with your buyer before all of that lets them know what they're going to anticipate for us to do on their end when the time comes for an offer. They feel like their agent has everything set and ready for them. They know by the time they get home, they should already have that picture of the earnest deposit check, make sure their agent has the pre-approval ready to go. So all I have to do is send them the packet for signatures.
Cool. I really like that, call the listing agent and gather info, as much info as you can get, and with an emphasis on call. Call that person. Don't text them or email them. Yeah, because that's going to be lost. That's great.
I won't show a property unless I've gotten in touch with the agent ahead of time and I know that the property is fully available. I can't tell you how many times.
That's good.
Right?
Yeah.
I can't tell
Especially
you.
now, you don't want to waste your time. Or
Especially
your
right now.
time
It's a waste of everybody's time. I mean, Mike walked into a property to show like 2 months ago and they were doing an inspection. So I said to him, never again will we show a property without knowing for sure that it's fully available. It's a waste of everybody's time.
Right.
Yeah, totally. Matt Rose, you've been quiet. What are you doing with your buyers?
Oh, I think he's muted.
Yeah, you're muted. You're muted. There you go.
It's amazing what you guys missed, but I just said some really good things. I try to stress to buyers that don't be so focused on the asking price, the list price, but let's really, what do you think the value of the property is? Because you're out there in the market, you're seeing what's out there, and really what's the property worth in today's market, and then base your offer and price on that. And in this marketplace, something that has 10 offers on it more than likely is below market value. Otherwise, those offers wouldn't exist. So it's that same thing, educating the buyer, and then what options we have available to make their offer the most attractive. And again, depends on that buyer's appetite as far as, are we going to waive certain inspections? Or even a lot of agents are putting appraisal contingencies in. Does the buyer have the ability to waive the appraisal contingency? Especially since, in this day and age, if offers are going above asking and we may be an issue with an appraisal, is that something that they may be willing to do? And it's just educating them to give them all their options. And then, of course, at the end of the day, it's their decision.
One other thing I would piggyback on is that The other conversation, which is I think really important when you're in a multiple offer situation, and it could be, there could be a difference of $5,000 or $7,000 between getting it and not getting it, is to have that mortgage conversation as well. Because if you take, if you break it down for a buyer, and as Matt said, you don't want to focus on what the actual price is, because you're not paying that price. You're paying a mortgage, and you're never going to live in that home for the next 30 years. So what you really wanted to have that conversation is, how, if you're spending $5,000 more, that sounds like a lot, but if you break that down into what that's going to cost per month, and then you break that down into what's going to actually cost per week, and then you break it down to what's going to cost per day, a lot of times that equates to not much more than a couple cups of coffee a day, per Starbucks. So you saying, are you willing to lose this house over 7 cups of coffee a week? Because that's really what your mortgage payment is the difference between what we think is going to be and what you can get this house for. And when you really break it down by $10 a day more, it kind of resonates a little bit better.
Todd, I love that you brought up a mortgage, because lender partner is really important also. And we have won bidding wars using the right lender. So for example, Karen Mulreed will go to bat. She will call the listing agent. She'll speak intelligently about how far they are through the process and underwriting, and let them know that she did see the tax returns. And, she's written letters for me. She's fine-tuned her letters. So is Penn Johnson and other mortgage partners, Tammy Kranich, a bunch of them. But knowing kind of what lender is going to really make a difference in that scenario of that particular home and price point, that has won a lot of bids for us as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
That's huge.
And also our attorney just saying, look, they're using our team. They're going to use our lender of choice, our attorney of choice, and our inspector of choice. And in fact, our inspector's on call. He does 2 every Saturday for us. So we'll inspect in 3 days. So we have it kind of that tightly, with these New York people coming in with no people to use. Look, this is the best scenario. You use our people. We're going to get this done really fast for you. And that's a selling point to the seller.
Yeah.
Totally. Chris, you were shaking your head. Did you want to say something?
No, I was agreeing with that completely.
Yeah. No, that's great. Carlos, what else you got?
Nothing. I mean, nothing. I just think that I wish more folks tuned in to these type of conversations, because I think that it's worth having them.
Yeah, we'll be getting it out there.
Yes, so I have a question or two, if I may. And P.S. I got a lot of responses to my email saying, please make sure it's recorded, because we can't be on live, but we want to make sure we catch it on the tail end. So no worries that this is going to get out there. It seems to me that each of you has taken kind of a non-negotiable look at the income that you decided to earn when you built your business plan back in December, and are just moving forward knowing that that's just that's a non-negotiable for you. I mean, is that correct? I don't want to put words in your mouth, but that's how it's sounding to me. Have you chosen not to concede your income this year?
Totally. I mean,
Completely.
Yeah, Jeannie and I, this is our 10th year together, and every single year that we've worked together as a team, we have improved on the year before. We've never gone back, except for 2019. Last year was the first year that we didn't achieve our goals, and we actually did a little bit worse than we had done the previous year. So this year we said we're not going to let that happen again. We refuse to go back in a year, and we are committed to not only hitting our goals but doing a little bit better than the previous year. So yeah, we're not conceding anything.
Yeah, you guys were slackers last year, I must say. That was a little.
What's that?
You were a slacker last
year. You guys
year.
definitely were slackers last year.
We were slackers last year. Yeah, we did. We were.
Right, and so when you don't concede your income, I love the conversation that's going on among the 4 of you that it just is what it is, right? Today is the circumstances that we just went through, the circumstances we're in, it just is what it is. And here's how we just continue to convert and write business. And I think there's such a massive lesson for everyone in hearing you guys talk about just charging forward, changing something here, changing something there, to not concede on your income. It's almost like I think one day last week on a mastermind, Kim said something like, well, we have 5 active buyers that we're working with right now. And my thought after she said that was, okay, so anyone who is truly not willing to concede, you need to hear what's being said by people who are rocking the business, and then just set that as a standard. It's like, okay, if Kim has 5 active buyers, why don't I? They're clearly out there, right? If Matt just took 4 new listings this week, well, why aren't I doing that? Because they're clearly out there, right? And so I just want to put out there to you that listening to these 4 people talk, I want you to be asking yourselves questions about, if they're doing it, am I? And if I'm not, how can I move in that direction? What next steps am I going to take? Do the 4 of you have any thoughts about how you would guide someone who's maybe struggling with, I don't have that, or I don't have, Matt's been in business since he was 7, so I don't have all those years behind me. What guidance can you give to people who feel like they don't have what you have, even though that may not be 100% true?
Well, I have those same thoughts as well. When we go on a listing appointment, and sometimes, we're up against 2 or 3 other agents. I'm always trying to say, do I need to recreate myself somehow? Am I missing something? So I think we all have the same kind of thoughts and fears as well. So you just got to get out there. You just got to get in front of people. If you're not in front of people, you're out of business. You might need to wear a mask, but you do need to be in front of people. And we've been trying to do more listing presentations by Zoom, and which is kind of cool because you can actually get more appointments in a day, not having to travel. So I think, again, it's setting those appointments, and you're going to get some and you're not going to get some, and you just move on and make the next appointment.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not going to kid you. When this first happened, I went into a major panic mode and said, basically, like, this whole year is gone. We're not going to make any money. And once I got past that, then it was like, okay, now how do we move forward, and how are we going to shift in this new world that we're living in? And like Matt said, we started doing Zoom calls and listing presentations, and Jeannie's been out a little bit more than I have. I pretty much, where you see me right now, that's where I've been for the last 4 months, and we've been pretty busy. So it's kind of nice not leaving my house and getting listing presentations and doing business and negotiating deals. You just figure out how to do it differently, but the same. And that's kind of what we're doing. We're doing it differently, but the same. And you've got to just feel like the buyers are out there, the sellers are out there. You just got to call them. You got to communicate. You got to touch your database, and they're there. And once you make them feel comfortable that you're going to be able to do the job in this world that we're living in, then you're going to get the listing or the buyer.
Yeah, I agree with that too. And then, before all of this, it was very, I would see my teammates. I would walk into the office, and Andy's my mentor. I would see him on the phone nonstop. He would have all these phone calls, all these listing appointments, and a couple others on the team. And I felt exactly what you were saying, Rick. Of, well, if they're having all these phone calls, why can't I? What are they doing that I'm not, or what am I missing? As much as I was new in the game, I still wanted that edge of what are they doing. So that's kind of where I jumped in. I would ask anybody and everybody what their open house schedule looked like, or what their listings looked like, and if I could do an open house for them. So I was very open house heavy for, all of last year, the year before. So kind of the same feeling as Todd is when this all hit, it hit me pretty hard initially. I went into definitely like a panic mode of, oh my gosh, my year's going to be 60% of what it was last year. There's no way I'm going to hit the numbers. My biggest lead gen is gone. I would call people all week long with follow-up of open houses. So I took it and I put all those forces into calling all those people from open houses. I would call, you know, my family and friends, everything, to full force go with that. But it was definitely something of, you know, full force phone calls, staying at home and making it work for me. Definitely helped me out a lot through all this.
And I feel that relationships matter more than ever. So really, really listening to your customers, their needs. You know, their needs have changed since COVID. Some have lost jobs, some have been furloughed. Those that were buying are now not buying. They love their house more than ever, or they don't have to commute to New York and move closer to the city. You know, and the buyer pool has changed. That's what we're seeing. You know, those that weren't going to buy 2 years from now are now buying tomorrow. So it's really listening to people and just really understanding their needs. How has your job situation changed in COVID? What does that look like now? You know, are you homeschooling? How are your children doing? And I just feel like when you build those deep relationships, you become a trusted person, and then they really kind of let you in on their big thoughts, and then we kind of wiggle our way in and help them that way. The other thing I would say is that nurturing our database. You know, our open houses, that's our jam. That's where we built our business. Over 500 of our database is open house nurtures. And so that went away for a few months. And so we, you know, continue to reach out to them, but open houses are back. We had 2 last weekend. They were great. We had 8 parties on Sunday and 5 on Saturday. People are back out and shopping safely, one at a time, with the mask. And I was just on the phone with the nurturer that I met on Saturday, and we're going to go looking this weekend. So it's kind of like those old opportunities are now back. So if there's a lot of agents that aren't comfortable holding an opening house, so I would reach out to those agents and say, hey, mind if I do an open house for you, if you're comfortable?
You know,
Are you putting any restrictions on those? Sorry, Steve.
No, it's okay.
In the listing, in the open house notes, I'm saying mask required, one person at a time. And then I put a disclaimer, something like, we have the ability to not allow you in if you're not wearing proper protection. I put something like that in. And I had my seller, there were vacant properties, so that was easier, but I had my seller put in writing to me by text, just like, yes, we're cool with you doing an open house.
Okay, cool.
I was excited with the turnout. Yeah.
We call her Kim the Bouncer now.
Yeah.
And that sign says,
And what I would suggest for what it's worth is I really think it's a 2-man job. Somebody at the door kind of managing who's coming in. Are they signing in? You know what I mean? And one person kind of managing the flow of the traffic. So I would suggest a 2-man open house.
Yeah.
Which I did do, and I think it was important.
Or I'm thinking out loud here, what if you can't get someone else? Maybe you can create like a door hanger, right? And just leave the door hanger there to say, wait right here. We'll be with you momentarily or something on the doorknob, so that if the door is closed, they know that just to wait outside. You know, there's a party in here in case you can't get that second person. You know, we don't all have a Mike Trumba holding down the door.
Or a lender partner. I did one with a lender. I did one with Tammy Kranich on Saturday. So lenders are happy to come out too to help an open house.
Or even do it by appointment only, where you have 15-minute blocks for the 2 hours. Once those 15-minute blocks are taken, you're not allowing anybody else. And you have to be really strict and say, if you are late, you will miss your block. So you're only going to give people that 10 or 15 minutes to walk through the house, have them set up, appointments beforehand. So they're not all standing at the door waiting. They know that they need to be there at 1 o'clock, at 1:15, and that's when they're coming in. And the people that are in know that they only have that 10 or 15 minutes to walk through the house, and then they have to leave.
Did you do that, Todd?
What's
Did
that?
you guys do that? Did you guys do that?
We haven't done any open houses yet, but that's
Oh, okay.
we've been talking about different, if they're comfortable and different ways to do an open house that would make them comfortable and make it work. And that was one of the things we were talking about.
I don't see Christopher Grass on here, but I know he was going to do that. I don't know, Kim, did you know if he did it? Did he do that?
I think he was talking about it, but I don't know if he did it yet.
Yeah.
I think Len Schwartz, did one by appointment this past weekend. I'd be curious to see his success rate.
Yeah, I'll find out.
Another thing I forgot to mention with Command is that we are doing Facebook campaigns and we are getting success with that. So I kind of feel like where we fell off a little with open houses we're kind of posing the campaign ads as, for more information, for just to plan your tour, kind of making it kind of a replacement for us of open houses. And we have had success with that.
Great.
Caius, do we have time for one last question?
Yep.
The other thing I'm curious about is we've got 5 more months in 2020 to write business that will close before New Year's, right? So I'm curious, are you guys, as the CEOs of your organizations, right, are you wearing that CEO hat, and are you looking at things 30 days at a time? How are you monitoring and tracking so that you know exactly where you are versus where you need to be if you're not conceding your income goal for the year, and we have 5 30-day chunks left to write business? How are you monitoring that? What are you doing? How are you using that to help you stay on track and find new business? Anybody have a system they have in place around that?
Yeah, well, we have a weekly, we get a weekly weekly report every week of all of our transactions, everything that's pending, when they're closing, and then we also have our weekly pipeline that's updated. So we always know what's coming on, when that's coming on. But that weekly report is really our Bible, and that's what we pay attention to. We know exactly what where every transaction is and what we have coming on.
We also are using a pipeline, so it shows the incoming listings, buyers that we're working with, pendings, and so every team member we have everything tracked in a pipeline.
I would say for us, we're really focusing on appointments. If we have 4 solid appointments each week with now buyers, we're putting 2 under contract. That's sort of our track record. So I think we're focusing more on appointments with really meaningful buyers. And then of course, trying to get in front of as many listing appointments as well, and trying to list 1 a week as well. I would say by appointment, we're kind of gauging our goals.
Got it. And so I would just simply add, and I know this is not a shocker from the numbers guy, but don't lose track of losing track, right? Or don't lose track of keeping track, right? If you have 5 30-day opportunities, whether it's for you or a member of your team, what is from the CEO's seat, what is that expectation of the business in the next 30 days? And track and monitor towards that. What's the next 30 days look like? And drive the business based on written business, listings taken, and income earned in 30-day chunks. Todd was talking about chunking things down earlier, and I think the same goes with from a goal tracking perspective. Chunk it all down to 30-day increments, and really know what it is you need to accomplish in the next 30 days. Use all the tools and strategies and scripts and systems that you heard today to nail down that business, so that 30 days from now, okay, check. Now we have the next 30 days. What are we focusing on, and moving in that direction?
Yep, totally. Anybody else have any questions who've been listening in for this panel, this exceptionally smart panel we have here? No questions?
I just want to make a comment. I want to say, what I hear is from everybody that was speaking is they're 110% committed. I mean, it's just unwavering, and they're gonna hit the goals they set in the beginning of the year, even with the pandemic happening, because they decided to make that happen and not quit on their goals. So thank you for being committed. It's inspiring, and I hope you all crush it.
Oh, Chris, I was going to comment.
Thank you very much.
We all saw you pack up your bag and get up and go out. You got so inspired. You just went out and took a listing, right? Is that what you're doing?
I'm heading to Bridgeport to sell a multifamily.
There you go.
Awesome.
There you go.
Yeah, and I just wanted to thank you guys, because we always talk about the giants that go before us, and I think that right now we're rewriting history, and I think that there's another generation coming along, and I think that you guys are the ones that they're ultimately going to be looking at and saying, okay, well, they did it in the middle of a pandemic, in the middle of a don't leave your house or you're going to die moment, then why can't I do it? So
Sure.
good job.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to say, that's awesome. I too up against multiple offer situations. And sometimes when you have these first time home buyers, as much as you want to get them up and waiver, a lot of stuff, it's just like hard trying to get them to commit to, some of the things as the first time home buyer coming from New York, even with all the education, I feel like I'm missing out on a lot of opportunities getting the offer accepted. But I know we discussed that too,
Yeah, use those strategies, because the strategies that were put out there, they are working. So use them up. Hey, Chris, where's that baby?
He's inside napping. He didn't sleep very well last night, so he better be sleeping now.
All right. I was gonna say wake him up and show us, but if he didn't sleep last night, we'll give you the pass. For those of you who don't know,
Yeah.
Chris and his wife had a baby
I can give a check.
4 weeks ago, right? Is he a month?
Yeah, just on the 15th, he's a month old now.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Here, actually, I'll give a quick look. Let me see if he's awake.
Okay, maybe we'll get to see him.
Yeah. So I have a takeaway from this. You talk about the concept of business as usual. But when I listen to you guys, it's business better than usual. This is such an opportunity. You guys are grabbing that bull by the horns and just doing what you need to do. And the whole concept of monitoring your listings taken and your contracts written, those are both indicators of future business. So if you can just stay on top of that continuously and keep that pipeline full, this year's you're going to blow it out of the water completely.
Yeah, he's still sleeping.
We'll meet him next time.
Yeah, next time I make sure that he'll be awake for it.
Cool.
Right, and so if we're on a Zoom call and he's awake and you're on the Zoom, interrupt the Zoom call because we want to see him.
Unmute myself and say, "Hey, look over here."
That's right.
Exactly right. That's exactly right.
I guess we're good. No more questions for these guys? Anybody else have any last comments you'd like to say?
I think what you just said should be written down and paid attention to. It's not business as usual. It's business better than usual.
Yeah.
And I want to say thank you to our 4 panelists for proving that point today, because it's clear that you are determined to make sure that this is better than usual, and not just choose to use circumstances as a reason to concede. So my hat's off to you. Congrats, and thank you as always for the time that you spend sharing with us.
Glad to do it.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.